so I thought that would be something fun to try for Halloween night. So in this video I have some spooky, like, Halloween stories. I don't know, creepy stories. Hopefully they're not going to be too scary, but I don't know, we'll see. So if that's not something that you want to watch, something kind of spooky, creepy, click off, watch a different video. I have plenty of trivia videos. There are probably other lighthearted Halloween videos out there, but today is going to be some spooky stories, so I hope you enjoy those. We'll hope they're not too scary, but yeah. This is also the first video I'm filming in my new apartment, but you probably can't even tell because it looks a lot like my old apartment. I kind of just made the same setup in my new one, but yeah, in case anything looks different. Alright. The first story is called The Architect's Key. There once was a man named Edward who designed and built his own perfect house. He lived in it for many years until he eventually passed away. A new family moved in, but whenever they went into the basement where Edward's personal stuff had been, they would get the feeling that someone was watching them. One day, the father of the new family decided to fix up an old jacket, which every tailor in town had told him was beyond repair. So he went down to the old study, laid his jacket on a chair, and then tried to see if there was anything in the old desk that could help him mend it. But the drawers were all locked, and he couldn't find a key anywhere. The next morning, he came back down to find the key on the desk, all the drawers open, and his jacket completely fixed. Creepy. I don't know if these are supposed to be real or if they're just like fun ghost stories, but the next one is called A Mother's Love. Some people actively go out looking for ghost encounters, and every once in a while they find one. When Kevin was a teenager, he and his friends had heard about a dangerous turn on the nearby highway that caused many accidents over the years. It was now haunted. The most well-known story was of a mother who took her own life after her son had crashed his car and died there. It was said around town that her ghost remained at the deadly turn to protect people from ending up like her deceased child. Kevin and his friends decided to put that theory to the test. At night, Kevin drove his friends out to the highway. When the group of boys arrived at the turn, they pulled over. They brought a bag of flour with them and proceeded to sprinkle the white powder on the road, the grass, and the car. The idea was to get footprints to prove that the ghost was indeed real. The boys hopped back in and began to take the car around the turn. Kevin accelerated faster and faster, and thump. The car came to an abrupt halt as if someone had slammed down on it with their own two hands. They immediately got out of the car and saw two woman-sized handprints in the white flour on the hood. Okay. Interesting. Would ghosts make footprints? Is that a thing? I feel like I would think that ghosts would not make footprints, but that's cool. The next one is called The Ghost in the Hall. 4 young women moved into an old New England apartment together. You know, the type with squeaky floorboards and a long, dark hallway. A month after they moved in, one of the roommates realized that her favorite stuffed teddy bear was missing. The others all said they hadn't touched it or seen it. Weeks went by, and she almost forgot about her teddy when something strange happened. She opened the door to one of the closets they hardly ever used, and there on the top shelf sat her furry friend. probably just her roommates. I like these stories. They're just like, just eerie enough to be like Halloween themed, but they're not scary. I don't know. But I'd be curious, you guys let me know if you've ever had kind of a ghost, something creepy happen, something out of place that you couldn't explain. I can't think of anything in my own life right now, but maybe something will come to me. The next one is called A Voice in the Desert. Two young men in their 20s, Josh and Dan, went on a camping trip together in a desert in New Mexico. They didn't take much with them besides sleeping bags, food, and materials for a fire. After they cooked their dinner, they fell asleep as they gazed up into the starry night sky. The beauty and peace of the trip were short-lived, however. In the early hours of the morning, Josh was startled awake by what sounded like Dan's voice, but frantic. The voice said, "Come here, quick, look." Sleepy and confused, Josh got up to see what his friend was talking about. He heard again, "Come here, quick, look." It sounded unnatural, a perfect repetition. Josh took a few steps forward, and then someone grabbed him from behind. He turned around to see Dan with his finger in front of his mouth, warning Josh to keep quiet. They rolled up their sleeping bags and left. They still don't know who or what was trying to lure Josh away into the desert. So it wasn't the friend. What? Creepy. The next one is called Echoes of the Past. A young bachelor at the beginning of his career became very successful very quickly, so he bought himself a house. One morning, he awoke to the sound of running water. He rushed to the bathroom and saw that the bathtub faucet was running on full blast. He was perturbed by this as he lived alone. A week later, it happened again, only this time it wasn't just one faucet, it was all the faucets in the house. The young man called a repairman to fix the pipes and the water damage, but as it turned out, the pipes weren't broken. The repairman, a local, seemed visibly shaken. "What's wrong?" the bachelor asked. "The woman who lived here before you," said the repairman. "She drowned in that bathtub." Ooh, okay, that was the first one that actually gave me like a creepy feeling. That's creepy. Yeah, I think in one of my previous, it was an Unsolved Mysteries video. It was like the Methuen water something, where like a family in Massachusetts, water just randomly started gushing out of the walls, like, very frequently. That kind of reminds me of that. Yeah. The next one is called No One Steals Twice. Jen went to the same convenience store every day after school for a snack. Over time, she became good friends with the cashier, Lucy. Out of curiosity, one day Jen asked Lucy how she would stop someone if they tried to steal from the store. Lucy replied, "Oh, no one ever steals anything from here twice. The store won't let them." Jen didn't know what that meant, but dropped the subject. When she went back to the store at the start of the next school week, Jen walked in to find Lucy talking to some cops. Apparently, a man stole from the store and drove off, but his brakes mysteriously failed and his car went soaring off a cliff. The cops asked Lucy if she knew what happened. "No," she said. "I was stalking the back room. I didn't even know he'd come in. No one ever steals twice." Yes, kids, that is what happens if you steal from a store. You die. The next one is called When the Candle Burns. recently lost her grandpa and wanted to see if she could commune with his spirit. The three girls gathered some candles and a few items that belonged to the late grandfather, his watch, his cigar case, and a photograph of him. The girls held hands and started the seance. I don't know what that word is. Suddenly, the candles began to flicker and the hands on the watch began to spin. Clara was sure it was her grandpa. Elated, she began to talk to him and ask him questions, when all of a sudden one of the candles flew as if by some invisible force and almost hit her head. Grandpa would never do that, she said, shaking. She was right. It wasn't her grandpa, and whomever it was clearly did not like being disturbed. That's why you should always be careful when summoning spirits or using a Ouija board. I feel like a lot of these stories need to be a little bit longer. Like, it could use a little bit more information. The next one is called The Curse of the Eldest Son. Inaya's parents came to the United States from Pakistan. Before they were married, Inaya's father was engaged to someone else. It was an arranged marriage, and the prospect made him unhappy, so he broke it off. The woman went off the deep end. There were rumors in the town that she had started using black magic. She even ran right up to him in the street one day, screaming that she had put a curse on his eldest son, so that he would die before he reached manhood. In fact, Inaya's older brother, the eldest son, died in a car crash on his 18th birthday. That's not good. The next one is the uninvited party guest. This one's a little bit longer. One night, a group of adults were having a dinner party. There were 6 of them, and they had all just taken their seats when they heard an unexpected knock at the door. The woman hosting the dinner party opened the door to see who it could possibly be, but no one was there. Somebody must have realized they had the wrong address, she explained to her guests. But when they all turned their attention back to the table, there was a 7th plate set. Was that there before? One of the men asked. I must have set an extra place by mistake, said the hostess. She took it back to the kitchen, but when she returned, another plate was there, this time with a glass next to it. The other guests had been talking among themselves and hadn't seen anything strange, but when they realized what had happened, they were shocked and didn't know what to do. At this point, they figured the best strategy was to play along, so they filled the empty glass and plate so as not to upset their mysterious, uninvited guest. If that happened to me, I don't think my first thought would be, oh, okay, let's give the ghost some water. I'd be like, get out. That's funny. The next one is called After Hours. It was 9 o'clock, time for the store to close. Valerie, Ginny, and Kelly were the only ones working. As they were cleaning up the store, a pile of shirts fell to the floor. None of the girls had touched them. It's probably the ghost, Ginny said. Very funny, said Kelly. No, really, Valerie replied. He's a little boy. He likes to play. Kelly still didn't take them seriously, though. She thought they were teasing her because she was younger. When she went into the back room to get her keys to go home, she saw a flash of a young boy in the mirror next to her. When she looked back, her keys had been placed on the floor. Da-na-na-na. Next is the lonely Ferris wheel. Oh. rest of the workers knew about the Ferris wheel he was in charge of operating. The first night of the carnival was bustling with people, but as it came time to close, it was practically a ghost town. However, there was one boy who showed up at the last minute. "One for the Ferris wheel, please," the boy said, giving Charlie a ticket. Charlie looked around. "Where are your parents?" he asked the little boy. The boy just took his seat and didn't answer. Unsure of what to do, he let the boy go on the ride, but when the ride was over, the boy was no longer in his seat. Charlie ran to his boss to tell him the story. The boss casually said, "Oh, that's Thomas." He handed Charlie a clipping from an old newspaper. It had the boy's picture and the headline, "Boy Falls from Ferris Wheel, 8 years old." What? So they just accept that. What? Creepy. I like these stories. I do like them. I feel like it's not super scary, but just kind of eerie and creepy. The next one is called The Laundry Thief. A woman and her daughter moved into a new house. The mother worked a lot, so it was up to the girl to do the household chores, including the laundry. One day, the girl went down to the laundry room and put in a load of clothes. When she came back, the door to the washing machine had already been lifted open. "That's weird," she said to herself. "I thought I closed it." She shrugged it off, but the next time she did laundry, it happened again. And that's not all. Each time it happened, one piece of her clothing would go missing. One time it was a sock, the next a pair of shorts, and so on. After a few weeks, she went down to the laundry room again to find a complete outfit set out for her, with all the clothes that had been missing. Sometimes I think I have a laundry thief because every time I wash my clothes, I'm like missing a sock. I'm like, where's my sock? But never attributed that to ghosts, just the washing machine eating it or something. The next one is The Child in Room 213. An executive went on a business trip for her company. When she arrived at the hotel, she got the key card for her room 213 and went straight up. She was exhausted and couldn't wait to sit down, but her key card didn't work. She went down to complain to the front desk and promptly got a new card, but that one didn't work either. Just as she was storming off to go back to the lobby, the door to her room creaked open. A little boy had opened the door, and he was standing in the dark. She went to the front desk again. "There's another family in my room," she said to the man. "No, that's impossible," he said. "No one has checked in but you." Again, I want some more information. What did she do next? Who was the boy? Next is The Traveling Photograph. After Anna's dog, Bo, passed away, she started carrying his photo with her everywhere. She loved Bo more than anything, which is why she was so heartbroken when she lost the picture. Anna lived in a big city and was sure she'd never find it, but when Bo's birthday came around the next year, she found the photograph in the closet next to his old leash. "Good dog, Bo," she whispered. Okay, I've never thought about animal ghosts. is called The Daughter's Scarf. One freezing January night, a man was driving down a deserted road. The snow was picking up and quickly turning into a blizzard, but this man was not the only one on the road. There was another man driving behind him. The other man flickered his car lights to signal him to stop, and both men got out of their cars. The second man stretched out his hand and gave the first man a pink scarf. It was soft and looked just like his daughter's. The man who gave him the scarf had a terrible look in his eyes and a terrible smile to match. Frantic, the father jumped back into his car and sped home, where he found the police already waiting for him. Okay, that one's scary. I don't like that. The next one is Wedding in the Dark. An engaged couple planned to have their wedding reception at their absolute favorite restaurant, but on the day of the wedding, the bride tragically fell down the stairs and died. Now, it's said that every night after the restaurant closes, the ghost of the bride walks down the very stairs she fell from and sets up all the tables and chairs for the wedding guests she never got to see. Spooky. She fell down the stairs at the wedding reception. That's terrible. I don't really feel bad laughing because these aren't real, I don't think. The next one is called Three's a Crowd. Two sisters were at home while their parents were out at an event one evening. They stayed up late talking and telling stories in the older sister's room. Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted by the sound of loud music. They looked at each other, confused and unsure of where the music could be coming from. The older sister got out of bed and began walking down the hallway. It sounded like the music was coming from their parents' room. She peered into the dark room, saw her father's laptop open, screen on, music blaring, and right then the music stopped. Scared, the girl ran back to her room where her younger sister was waiting on the bed. Frightened, she shut the bedroom door behind her and got back under the covers, holding her little sister tight. They heard slow, heavy footsteps, one after another, heading toward their end of the hall. When the footsteps stopped, boom, 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 3 hard knocks on the bedroom door. No one came in, but they certainly didn't try to leave the room for the rest of the night. Creepy. Sorry about my stomach growling. Hopefully it's just adding to the spookiness. Next is called a psychic warning. Not all spooky stories are scary. Sometimes they're just otherworldly. Frank was at the mall one day by himself when, in the middle of walking from one store to the next, an older woman ran up to him grasping for breath. I ran all the way from the other end of the mall to find you because I sensed you were here, she said. Frank had no idea who this woman was, and he was understandably frightened. He tried to push her away. Then she said, I have to tell you, your brother's death was not your fault. Frank was stunned. He had never met her before in his life, but she somehow knew that his brother had died and that he felt guilty. Frank's brother had been a drug addict. He called Frank the day he died, but Frank didn't pick up the phone. Your brother doesn't blame you, she said with compassion. Satisfied that she had fulfilled her duty, she walked away and disappeared back into the crowd of shoppers. Frank broke down in tears. This one is called When Art Imitates Life a Little Too Closely. There was a house in a small neighborhood in Maryland that went overboard with Halloween decorations every year. Whenever the crisp fall air rolled in, the entire town would look forward to the unveiling of the new display. But no one ever really talked to the person who did the actual decorating. He was a loner. People only knew him for his Halloween spirit, and his decorations became grander and more lifelike every year. The newest one was the Vlad the Impaler theme. Hyper-realistic, bloodied mannequins were pierced through with wooden stakes and left to the crows in a gruesome display. It was the ultimate work of horror, so much so that it caused quite the controversy in the town. While some loved it, many of the local parents wanted it taken down for their children's sake. So a town official made the trip to the house soon after the unveiling to discuss the matter with the man who lived there. She knocked on the front door. No answer. Knock, knock. Nothing. She rang the doorbell. Still nothing. It was then that the official realized there was a putrid smell in the yard and an unusual amount of bugs buzzing around for this time of year. She wandered over to one of the mannequins to get a closer look at the incredible craftsmanship. The smell got worse. She gagged and had to put her hand over her mouth. Her eyes went wide. The official put her trembling finger up to the doll and felt the soft, smooth, cold touch of human skin. After that, no one was able to locate the man who'd once lived there. Now it is truly a haunted house. That was a good one to end on, I guess. Definitely creepy. That is terrifying. That he had a dead body. But was it him? Was this a man? What if it was him and he hung himself? I don't know. I definitely kind of resonate with that story though. I feel like there were always houses as a kid that had really good decorations and you just didn't know who lived there. Yeah. But that is creepy. Okay, I think we'll stop there. I'm pretty sure that was 20 stories, 20 spooky Halloween stories that will keep you up at night, which maybe wasn't the best article to choose for an ASMR video, but I feel like those weren't too scary, compared to my true crime videos. That was pretty tame and more just on the eerie Halloween side. So I hope you guys liked that. I hope you're having a good Halloween. Yeah, I think I'll probably put this up on Halloween because it looks like Halloween is on a Tuesday and I always post on Tuesdays. Sorry about my stomach. And sorry about any background noise. I'm getting used to filming